All right, strap yourselves in because today we are diving headfirst into a world of giant monsters and some serious political intrigue.
Sounds intense.
It is, trust me. We're talking about Pulgasari. It's a North Korean kaiju film.
Kaiju, like Godzilla.
Exactly. But here's the kicker. This film, it was made under the orders of a dictator, Kim Jong-il to be precise.
Whoa. Okay, you've definitely got my attention. This is already sounding way more intense than your average monster flick.
Oh, it absolutely is. And, our listeners send us a whole bunch of stuff about it. We got articles, historical context, even a FAQ.
Clearly, they're as intrigued by this bizarre history as we are.
Right. I mean, who wouldn't be? So today, that's our mission. Unraveling the story behind Pulgasari, separating fact from fiction.
Trying to figure out, was it just straight up propaganda? Or is there something more to it, like some hidden message?
We're going to try to get to the bottom of all of that.
You know, it's really fascinating when you think about it. It's a total clash between art and politics, all happening in one of the most isolated places on Earth.
North Korea in the 80s, a land of secrecy. And at the center of it all, you have Kim Jong-il, big-time film buff, obsessed with cinema.
Obsessed is an understatement.
Mhm.
You know, this is a guy who literally wrote the book on filmmaking. I mean, literally. It's called On the Art of Cinema.
And yet he didn't exactly focus on nurturing local talent, did he?
Nope. Instead, he decided to import it, you could say.
I have a feeling you're about to tell me he didn't exactly offer a scholarship program.
Not quite. We're talking about a full-on kidnapping here.
Seriously.
Oh, yeah. He organized the abduction of Shin Sang-ok, a super famous South Korean director, big name in genre films. And he didn't stop there. He also nabbed Shin's ex-wife, Choi Eun-hee, a well-known actress.
So he kidnaps this powerhouse director-actress duo.
And it was all based on this crazy logic, you see. Kim Jong-il thought by forcing these two to work for him, it would somehow magically make North Korean cinema amazing.
It's mind-blowing, like something out of a spy movie. How did he even manage to pull this off?
Okay, so picture this. Shin Sang-ok gets lured to Hong Kong. They promise him all these amazing opportunities. Classic bait and switch.
And then bam, he's whisked off to North Korea.
Vanished. Choi Eun-hee, she gets kidnapped separately. And both of them, they're held captive for years. It's a really dark moment in film history.
Okay, so we've got a film born from a dictator's obsession, created by kidnapped artists. Before we even get into the potential meanings hidden beneath the surface, let's back up for a sec. Give our listeners the basics. What's Pulgasari actually about?
All right, so the movie takes us back to medieval Korea. We've got these villagers. They're living under the iron fist of this brutal warlord.
Classic oppressive regime setup.
Exactly. Now, there's this blacksmith, right? He refuses to give up the town's iron supply to this warlord. So what happens? He gets thrown in prison.
Not surprising.
But before he dies, he manages to make this tiny figurine out of rice. His daughter, Ami, she accidentally spills some blood on it, and guess what?
It comes to life.
You got it. And boom, Pulgasari is born.
Okay, so it's your classic monster as savior story, but this monster, he doesn't breathe fire, right? He eats iron. So what does this metal-munching monster actually look like?
Well, imagine this, all right? You've got this creature. It's like a mix between an alligator and a demon. Big, imposing horns. Seriously scary stuff. But here's where things get interesting.
Lay it on me.
The suit for Pulgasari, designed by Toho Studios, the same folks who brought us Godzilla.
No way. Toho was involved in this North Korean production.
Oh yeah, Kim Jong-il was so determined to make a spectacle that could rival Godzilla.
But how did he convince Toho to get involved? Were they aware of what was going on?
Not a clue. They basically got tricked. Kim Jong-il told them it was a Chinese production. They get to North Korea, passports confiscated, and that's when they realize they're trapped.
Can you imagine being in their shoes? Suddenly you're in North Korea working on a film for a dictator. What a moral dilemma that must have been.
Absolutely. It really highlights how complicated art can get when it's mixed up with a totalitarian state.
Yeah.
But back to the monster itself. Pulgasari, he's not just some mindless brute, He consumes iron, grows stronger, and then helps the villagers rise up against their oppressor.
So not exactly a subtle message then.
Not really. It's like they took the North Korean narrative of the proletariat rising up against their oppressors and turned it into a monster movie.
Seems pretty on the nose.
Right. But here's the thing. There's this whole debate about whether Pulgasari is just straight up propaganda or if there's something more subversive going on underneath. Some critics think that Shin Sang-ok, the director, might have actually woven in a critique of the Kim regime. Maybe intentionally, maybe not.
Okay, so we've got a monster that devours iron, helps villagers revolt, and potentially serves as a metaphor for something way more complex. But before we unpack all that, I have a feeling the story gets even crazier,
Oh,
right?
you have no idea. Remember how we talked about Shin Sang-ok and Choi Eun-hee being kidnapped? Well, that's not the end of their story.
All right, you've got me hooked. Spill it.
So in 1986, Shin and Choi, they were in Vienna for a film festival.
Still under guard, I imagine.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
But they managed to seize an opportunity.
Bold move.
That's put in mildly. They made a run for it, went straight to the U.S. Embassy.
A real-life Hollywood escape.
After years of being held captive, they were finally free from Kim Jong-il.
I bet that didn't go over well.
Let's just say Kim Jong-il was not happy.
What did he do?
He immediately had Pulgasari pulled from theaters in North Korea, tried to wipe it from existence.
Wow, so the film that was supposed to be his cinematic masterpiece?
Became a source of embarrassment and a reminder of his failure.
It's crazy how things can backfire like that. Talk about unintended consequences.
It makes you think about how futile censorship really is.
Trying to control the narrative, but the story behind the film became even more powerful.
Definitely. And that story of artistic resilience of Shin and Choi's escape
It adds another layer to the film, doesn't it?
absolutely makes those themes even more interesting to analyze.
So we've talked about the wild backstory, but let's get to the actual movie.
Right. What did Shin actually manage to create under these crazy circumstances?
Because at the end of the day, it is a monster movie.
True, we've got these layers of political allegory,
Yeah.
but is it actually any good?
Is it a cheesy B-movie, or did they pull off something special?
Considering the limitations of North Korean filmmaking at the time, Pulgasari is surprisingly well made.
Really?
The pacing is good, the story holds your attention, and there are these moments.
Of what?
Genuine emotion, and of course the Pulgasari suit itself is very impressive.
Toho's touch, no doubt.
Definitely your expertise really shines through. But as for the other effects,
Yeah, how did those turn out?
well, let's just say the miniature work and some of the other special effects.
Have that classic B-movie feel?
They do, but it's not necessarily a bad thing.
Right, sometimes those imperfections add to the charm.
It's this strange mix of high-quality monster design and that scrappy filmmaking style.
A unique blend of North Korean ideology and Japanese monster movie magic.
Exactly. It's not like anything you've ever seen before.
And I'm starting to see why it's gained this cult following.
It's definitely a unique viewing experience. We talked about the North Korean narrative of overcoming oppression. Right. But were there any other interesting parts of the story that stood out to you?
You know what I found really interesting was the relationship between Ami, the blacksmith's daughter, and Pulgasari.
Oh, yes. It's not just mindless monster mayhem.
There's a real connection between them.
It adds an emotional depth that you wouldn't expect,
Almost like a parental bond.
which makes the ending all the more impactful.
Ah, yes. The ending, things take a dark turn there, don't they?
That's where the film's potential for subversion becomes really clear.
How so?
Remember Pulgasari's insatiable hunger for iron?
It doesn't just disappear after he defeats the warlord?
Nope, it actually gets worse. He keeps demanding more and more iron, consuming everything.
So the hero who is supposed to liberate the people?
Becomes a tyrannical force himself.
Wow, that's pretty bleak, and you can't help but see the parallels to the Kim regime.
Right. Just like Pulgasari's hunger consumes everything, the Kim regime demanded absolute loyalty and control, often at the expense of the people.
It's a powerful statement, whether it was intentional or not.
Here we have this monster movie made under a dictator's watch, and it ends up critiquing the very system that created it.
It's incredible. What about Shin and Choi after their escape? Did they ever make films again?
They did. Both of them had successful careers after their ordeal.
Good for them. What did they work on?
Shin actually directed a few Hollywood films, even some sequels in the Three Ninjas franchise.
Wait, the director of Pulgasari directed Three Ninjas Knuckle Up?
It's true. Talk about an unexpected career turn.
That's amazing. It really speaks to their resilience, their passion for film.
To go through what they did and still come out making movies, it's inspiring.
Their story almost overshadows the film itself.
But that's part of what makes Pulgasari so fascinating. It's more than just a monster movie.
It's a product of a dictator's obsession, a testament to artistic resilience.
And a film that continues to spark debate and discussion.
So where does that leave our listeners? They sent us all this material on Pulgasari. Should they actually watch it?
I think it all comes down to this. You can't just watch Pulgasari without understanding the context. You know?
It's like trying to judge a painting without knowing who painted it or when.
Exactly. It's more than just a monster flick. It gives you a peek into the mind of a dictator. Makes you think about power.
And the fact that it was almost lost forever, but Shin and Choi, they fought to share it with the world.
A testament to the power of art to break free.
We've talked a lot about the politics, the history, all that, but At its core, it is a kaiju film.
Right. Giant monsters causing mayhem.
Exactly. For those who don't know, kaiju is Japanese for strange beast, and it's a whole genre of film.
So how does Pulgasari measure up against the other big names?
Well, it's definitely one of a kind.
Yeah.
It has all the classic elements, the battles, the miniature cities getting destroyed.
But there's something else there.
Right, you've got that layer of political allegory that you wouldn't find in your typical Godzilla movie. It's like North Korean propaganda got mixed with Japanese monster movie tropes.
You nailed it. It's something you won't find anywhere else.
A film that can be enjoyed on so many different levels.
Pure spectacle, thought-provoking commentary, even a glimpse into a culture most of the world knows nothing about.
It really shows that even in a place like North Korea, art finds a way to exist to speak to people.
It's powerful. And it reminds us that sometimes the most unexpected stories are the ones that stay with us.
So what are your final thoughts? What do you hope our listeners take away from this deep dive into Pulgasari?
I hope they see just how complex this film really is. It's more than meets the eye. It's a product of a dictatorship, yes, but it also hints at rebellion. It's a monster movie with social commentary woven throughout.
And we can't forget the human element, the bravery of Shin and Choi to bring this film to the world.
Absolutely. A story of survival, of resilience, of the power of creativity.
I think that's a great place to wrap things up. Pulgasari is a film full of surprises, and it will definitely stick with you.
If you're looking for something truly unique, I urge you to seek it out. You might be surprised at what you discover.
And that's what the deep dive is all about. Exploring the unexpected, finding the hidden meanings.
And hopefully sparking your curiosity to learn more.
Until next time, keep diving deep.